everybody, it's Caitlin, aka Super Loopie Woman here on YouTube. I have something very exciting to show you guys today. I am meeting with Dr. Megan. She's a Prednisone Pharmacist here on YouTube, and it is an honor to have her on our show today. So thank you so much for agreeing to be on my channel. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your prednisone stories.
Awesome. So I was just this young mom with little kids, and suddenly one day I got this bizarre rash, and I was like, what is happening? This is all these little red dots going down my chest. And I was like, that's weird. I don't like that. And then it started spreading all the way down. And by the next morning, it was all the way down to my feet. And then these really weird bruises appeared on my legs and arms. And I was like, there's this gigantic one on my back. I was like,
oh my goodness,
this is not good. I don't know what this is. So I went to my dermatologist, and he's like, oh, you're just having an allergic reaction to that antibiotic. I'm like, no, this is more than just an allergic reaction. And he didn't believe me at first, but he finally ordered labs, and they were like, if we have to, we'll order the labs. And so,
isn't it a shame how we have to fight sometimes?
Yes, it was like
we know our bodies. We know that there's something wrong.
This is not like, oh, this isn't itchy. Like, this is, I can't feel it. I can see it, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I go get my blood drawn, and they call me an hour later. They're like, you have to be seen now because you only have 12,000 out of 150 to 400,000 normal platelets. I'm like, oh, ooh, that's scary. Okay. And so I call my doctor, and they're like, no, you go to the emergency room right now. I'm like, oh. And they're like, yeah, you are taking time, Mom. You could just bleed to death. Like, you crash on your way to the hospital. We can't stop you bleeding. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm on my way. And I go. And by the time I get there, my platelets are down to 3. I only have 3 out of 150,000. Like 300. Sorry, they dropped 1,000. So 3 out of 150 to 400 is normal. And I had 3. So they're like, wow, you've got to go now. And I'm hospitalized. And they're like, you're going to be there for a week. And I said, no way. I've got little kids. We've got Halloween next week. Like, I can't be here all week. I need to go home and, go trick-or-treating and stuff. And they said, no, even though you feel fine, you're about to bleed. And so you just sit on that hospital bed, and we have to help you go to the bathroom, make sure you don't fall. I'm like, I'm not going to trip on my way to the bathroom. Like, I'm fine. I was taking care of myself yesterday. Like, why do you have to walk me to the toilet, Anyway, so then they finally give me prednisone and platelets and all of this stuff, and I have to spend the night. Thankfully, the prednisone worked. It made my platelets go up. And then another night, and they went even higher. And they're like, okay, after 3.5 days, they let me go home. And they're like, you have to keep taking prednisone. And I'm like, I got this. It's just like a week. I can handle prednisone for a week. And my first reaction when they said, you need prednisone, I was like, no, not that drug. I learned about that one in pharmacy school. I'm not doing that. And they're like, yeah, you are. Like, you have no choice. Or you can die. You choose. Okay.
Hey.
Prednisone or die, I'll take the prednisone then. So I take it, and a week later, they're like, it's not working anymore. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, we have to try something else. So they put me on prednisone's sister drug, dexamethasone, like a humongous dose. Insane. 10 of the highest dose tablets every day for 4 days. And I was like, okay. By the way, I was diagnosed with ITP, and it's a bleeding disorder. My immune system was attacking my platelets. So then I take this, and it didn't really work either. And they're like, well, we're just going to try a lot slower taper. And I was like, all right. So they try that. And every time I went up on dose, my platelets would catch up, and then they would lower the dose, and my platelets would crash. Go back up, and then crash. And it was just this roller coaster cycle after cycle after cycle. And eventually they're like, we're going to have to take out your spleen. And I said, no way. And they said, okay, the alternative is chemotherapy. Okay. So I did chemotherapy instead, and it put me in remission. And I've been prednisone free, platelet normal for a couple years now.
That's awesome.
And I can tell you more about what I realized while I was on prednisone and chemo when you're ready for that.
Go ahead.
Okay. So there was this afternoon, I was trying to put my baby to bed to take his nap. And he was like, Mommy, I don't want to take a nap. He finally took his nap. And I wanted to take a nap because every night I'd just been staring at the ceiling, not sleeping, because prednisone and chemo together just don't make for a restful night's sleep. And I just wanted to really get some rest so that I could let both of these treatments do what they needed to do so I could really recover and succeed. But I couldn't. And then I realized that there was a huge need that was unmet, that people on prednisone are dealing with a significant and real depletion of nutrients. But most people don't even have any idea. They don't know that prednisone is the #1 drug that causes osteoporosis. They don't know that maybe one of the reasons they're gaining weight is because they are low in chromium. Like, nobody knows that because nobody tells them. And so I thought, I need to create a supplement just for people on prednisone. And so I did a ton of research to figure out exactly which nutrients prednisone depletes. I found all the side effects. I'll just tell you more about that in a second. But I tried to figure out what the top side effects were. And then I put it all together and made this product called Nutranize Zone. And it gives back the 10 nutrients that prednisone depletes. And it helps people just feel like themselves again. Just feel like I can play with my kids again, or I can not be a total witch.
Yeah.
Time. And people just love it because they can just breathe and just finally be who they feel like they normally are.
And that's so important because a lot of people don't realize that taking a medication can really just change who you are. It can change everything about you. Yeah. And people don't realize that until they have to go through it, and it's unfortunate. So I think it's really awesome that you cared enough about the way that you were feeling and the way that others were feeling while on prednisone, and decided to take it upon yourself to do the research and come up with a solution. I think that's super awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. And it just makes me so happy when I can see that people have a family relationship again, like that there were marriages in jeopardy, that there were kids who were feeling alienated from their parents who now like feel that love again. So it's really been so fulfilling to like be able to use my degree to really help people.
Yeah, I think that's awesome because, I mean, not that it was perfect that you were a pharmacist, but it kind of benefited us. Now, I have to say, I have not tried your supplement yet, but I'm looking forward to giving it a try, and I'll let you guys here on YouTube know how it works for me. But yeah, I think it's super awesome that, she came up with something to help us feel normal again. That's awesome. So where can we get your supplement if we were interested?
Yeah, you can get it at Nutranize.com. So it's Nutranize, Nutranize. It's like neutralizing through nutrition. Nutranize.
Awesome. And I noticed there's 2 bottles. So is there a difference?
Yep. There's the morning and there's the bedtime. So you take 2 of these in the morning and 2 of these at bedtime. This one helps with the daytime things like feeling the pressure to eat like until your stomach's exploding. And this one helps with bedtime things like staring at the ceiling because you can't sleep.
Awesome. Definitely. I'll definitely have to check that out for sure. I'm excited about that because I had no idea until I came across your channel that there was even anything to remotely help with the nutrients lost and the side effects and things like that. No idea. So I'm definitely looking forward to giving that a go. So thank you for making those. Yeah, if it's okay, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions about prednisone since you are a pharmacist. So what exactly is prednisone and how does it work?
So prednisone is lots like that they give it, but corticosteroid, glucocorticoid, glucocorticosteroid, cortisone, like lots of these names, but essentially what they're all saying is it is mimicking your body's natural hormone, cortisol. And cortisol is this wonderful chemical messenger that your body created to deal with stress. So when in the past our ancestors were being chased by a lion, cortisol was one of the hormones your body secretes to get away, to survive that stress. And that stress was supposed to be a short-term stress that once it was over, you were done. And in today's very stressful environment that doesn't end, tons of people have really high cortisol. And so prednisone is mimicking that, and it leads to lots of side effects because it's meant to be like one moment we're going to make a huge withdrawal so that you can survive.
So it's kind of like the body being in fight or flight mode, kind of. So it's just constant fight, we got this, kind of thing. Interesting. Yep. Interesting. Thank you so much for answering that. I've always been curious and I've been on it for a long time. So another one of my big questions regarding prednisone is they tell you it's very dangerous to abruptly stop cold turkey. Why is it so important that we taper down in dose instead of just stopping?
Yeah, that's super important to understand. So like I said, it's replacing the hormone that you naturally secrete. So normally your body is making this cortisol, but when you take prednisone, you are inserting a stop. You're saying, oh, no, I got this. I can make the cortisol myself. And so there's normally this circle from your brain down to your pituitary, hypothalamic, adrenal axis. It's this circle, and one tells the other to do its job. And when you take the prednisone, you're stopping that cycle. And when you need to go, like when you suddenly stop taking prednisone, you haven't given your body a chance to start the cycle over again. So you need to slowly go down over days to weeks to maybe even months, depending on what dose and lots of things, so that you can give your body's hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal, HPA is what it stands for, axis, a chance to restart.
Interesting. Yeah, I was always curious about that. I know my body in particular, I react to very small changes in medications very quickly. So for me, tapering down, I have to go at like slow as molasses. So yeah, I have to drop down by like 2.5 milligrams maybe per week. It's really rough. It's really rough whenever they get you started on such a high dose and you're like, I just want to be off of this. You can't just do that. You can't go on vacation and forget your medicine. It's so important.
And if you don't let your adrenal system restart, you can die, by the way. That's the most important thing.
Yes, please. Guys, please don't just abruptly stop your prednisone, okay? We need you here. So yeah, if it's okay, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions that my followers wanted me to ask. So why does prednisone cause the weight gain? What is this? Why?
That is everything to do with, like I told you, the cortisol is meant to be this short-term get away from the lion moment thing. And when you need to get away from that lion, your body is saying, I need sugar and I need it fast so I can have the energy to run away. And so it's basically dumping sugar into your bloodstream, but there's no lion. You're not running away, right? And so that sugar is just there, hanging out in your bloodstream, waiting for you to use it. And you aren't using it because you're just living a normal life.
There's no lions around here, I hope.
And when there's that high blood sugar, your body takes it back in and stores that as fat. But the problem is it just stores it in the wrong places.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for answering that. And then why does it affect your bones so much? You hear horror stories sometimes about people being affected by osteonecrosis or similar. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Why is that such a worry?
Yeah. So when you were dealing with that incredible stress of running from a lion, you needed not just sugar, but you needed other things. And so basically you are in this perpetual, I'm stealing from my muscles, I'm stealing from my bones, I'm stealing from all of these places so that I can survive this moment. And it's going to be worth it because I'm surviving. But you need those nutrients to survive that moment. And if you're taking prednisone, that moment never ends. And so your bones are constantly being withdrawn from. Your muscles are getting smaller. Like I remember looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, what happened? Like my legs are so skinny. This is a first. So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, and then so whenever it steals it, do you get that nutrients to rebuild eventually, or is it just the calcium from your bones or whatever just gone forever?
So the bone loss, so there's a ton of side effects that can happen to prednisone, people who take prednisone, but bone loss is one of them that's irreversible. Like when that nutrition is withdrawn from your bones, it doesn't just automatically go back. Like it's gone. And so while you are taking prednisone, you need to be diligently eating the very best nutrient dense food. And according to the American College of Rheumatologists, who are the doctors who prescribe prednisone the most, they say you need to be taking calcium and vitamin D every day.
Yeah, that's scary. That's scary. Yeah, I hope nobody that I know has to go through that. I did just have a little bit of a scare recently thinking that I had osteonecrosis or I'm going to break a bone, and that is scary. That is very scary. So guys, make sure you're taking your supplements. And then another question from a viewer is, why does it cause so many behavioral changes?
Yeah. So they call cortisol, you're wired but tired, and like the hormone that is causing you to, I mean, really, like back to survive. Like you are just trying to rev yourself up to not fall asleep because there's a lion like below you in the tree. You're up in the tree and the lion's pacing around down below and you don't want to fall asleep, right? So that's how you're getting the insomnia and it's this constant state of alertness, this anxiety, you're just revved up.
Okay.
So survive. Like this is really genius for Mother Nature to create this opportunity for us to survive. It's just not so effective when it's a side effect to a drug that's mimicking Mother Nature.
Interesting. Thank you so much. So I really, really appreciate you meeting with me today for my channel. It really means a lot to me. I'm very thankful that you took the time to do this. If you guys haven't checked out already, we just did a collab on her channel, so you can go and check that out as well. Do you want to tell people from my channel how they can find you, how they can find your supplements? You already said on the website, but yeah, tell us where we can find more information.
Yeah, so I am on pretty much every channel as the Prednisone Pharmacist. So my website is prednisonepharmacist.com, and it's like the two hardest words in the English language to spell, right? But if you look at your prescription bottle, it'll say prednisone, and then it'll say the pharmacy's name, and so you just do pharmacist.
There you go. That's simple enough.
And then I'm YouTube, Prednisone Pharmacist, Instagram, Prednisone Pharmacist, Facebook, Instagram Pharmacist, Prednisone Pharmacist. And then I have my supplement website, which is Nutranize.com, and I'm on all of those channels as well. And on my website, prednisonepharmacist.com, I have a checklist, and it is there to help you make sure you're doing all of those little things I've mentioned throughout this so that you can feel as well as you possibly can while you're on prednisone. I've got the top 15 side effects and what you can do about them, and tips for what you can say to your doctor about, hey, can I get an MRI if I have osteonecrosis, or should I be getting a DEXA scan? All of these things you might not know to ask. You might not even know that it's being caused by prednisone alone. And so if you check it out, the prednisone checklist is available for you, and then you can really take your health into your own hands.
I can say that I really appreciate that, and I hope that my subscribers take advantage of that as well, because I am such a candidate or an advocate for using your voice. You know your body. If you have a concern, you should definitely take it to your doctor, but sometimes they don't listen to you. So it's nice to have a checklist to kind of help guide you to what's going on, why it's going on, and what you need to do to take care of that. So I'm sure that all of my followers were going to appreciate that very much, that you took all that time to care and advocate to help us handle these symptoms and side effects.
So many. 50 side effects. Oh,
terrible. But I really appreciate it, and thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, take care.
Bye.